Hello and welcome to BW Business World CX Coffee Dialogues, supported by Unifor, where we talk about how to go about customer experiences across various industries and sectors in conversations with industry leaders. Joining me today is Mr. Rajiv Taneja, who's the Chief Information Officer of Honda Motorcycles and Scooters India. Mr. Taneja has been with Honda for over 23 years now, joining as the head of utilities and maintenance in the year 2000 and now serving as its chief information officer. Mr. Taneja, thank you so much for your time. Of course, moderating me this discussion will be Harshini Sridhar, who's the business head India at Unifor. Thank you, Harshini, for joining us. And today we'll be talking about the aspects around data privacy, trust, and the future of customer experience. So, Mr. Taneja, my first question to you precisely, before we go on to all of these aspects, I want to understand, and our viewers would also want to know, that what does the whole customer journey looks like for a customer at Honda Motorcycle and Scooters India, and in that journey, where does these elements of data privacy are all inculcated, and how does it enhance in building that customer trust in brand Honda?
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. So, the customer journey, it starts from, the customer, when the customer wants to look for a product, and from there the journey starts until the complete life cycle, you know. So the customer, first of all, he tries to identify a product, right? So he would search on various channels. He would browse through websites. He would try to go through social media handles and try to identify a product, and maybe also talk to the friend circle and identifies a product, right? So once the product, he decides to go to a particular brand, and then once I think the first important point would be he would try to go to a website, and the moment he visits a website, right? So the customer experience starts from right there, right? So is the navigation on the website easy? So if he wants to look for a product, right? So how quickly he can browse the website, how much clicks he is able to get the desired information which he wants. So that is most important. So that adds to his experience, right? So from that perspective, he searches for a product, and then if he decides finally to do a booking, those kind of options should be available, right? So earlier, when if pre-COVID era, if you see, all these things were not available, and then that point was like a I would say blessing in disguise for companies like us, where they started looking for digital channels of adoption for the customer, and we also started this booking facility on the website, and so customer can do the online booking, and then probably he can be later on diverted to a particular dealership which he selects. He has the option of identifying a dealer, and then once he visits the dealership, and then the next level of experience starts for him, right? So once he enters a dealership, how he's treated, how he's greeted inside the dealership, that experience also is important, right? So from there, how you are interacting with the customer, what is the feeling you are giving to the customer, whether he is actually being welcomed or not. Those are the important points. And then right from the information capturing, so we have experience, various experience platforms. Gone are the days when we were capturing information in physical forms, right? So we have changed that experience. You are entering a dealership, your information is getting captured in a mobile app. We call it inquiry capturing app, and then you get an OTP, and then you enter that OTP onto that app, and finally you start filling the form, and then from there that information is later on integrated with our dealer management system, right? So all the information goes to the dealer management system, And then you also have to, there's a consent which you know, because we are collecting your information, right? So there's a consent which is taken from the customer. So he has to sign, I mean, that paper will be given, and finally he has to sign that consent. So that is another experience. From there, if you finally, do the booking and, buy a product, the delivery of the product, the customer today don't want to wait for a long time, so they want,
Because of Amazon, next day
obviously,
delivery.
yeah. So
I don't want it.
everybody wants next day kind of delivery, and based on the if he's looking for a particular model, a particular color, for example, and if it's not available, so you have to divert him. There could be various ways, and either I tell him that, okay, you can go to a particular dealership that has that color available, but why can't I provide him that color at his at that dealership itself? So that kind of experience, we need to, we are providing today. And then, if the product is delivered, then what next? So we have loyalty programs for the customer, right? So the customer has to enroll into a loyalty program wherein he gets a lot of discounts which he can utilize later on during his services and all. And then after sales service. So after sales service also is very important. So the customer looks for a experience there. If you have a problem with your vehicle, are you being heard? What are the various channels by which you can register your complaint? So we have a call center, 24/7 call center where you can raise a complaint, and then in other channels, like you can also send an email, and you are being heard, and then later on that information, based on that information, someone will contact you and then give you that kind of experience. When you want to come for a service, you will get a reminder calls. So you will have you will be reminded that your next service is due. So the customer would come and get that service done, and then during that service. So now we are we are in the process of launching a smart workshop, wherein the moment you enter into a workshop for servicing, getting your vehicle service done, from that stage till the end, till the vehicle gets delivered back to you, what is your experience? So you have a in the workshop you will have a smart screen where you can see all the stages, from where right from the customer, the vehicle was taken from you, and then where, at what stage it is, whether it is at washing stage, whether it is at what stage of the servicing, you can see all that on the screen. So these are the kind of experiences I believe customer is looking for. So it's not so right from the inquiry capturing to the delivery, and later on till the product life cycle, if you want to use it for 15 years, the entire.
I completely agree. I think just evolved a lot. I'll tell you a simple example, right? So we're leaving on vacation in 10 days. And my son was going to order an umbrella. I was looking, he went to Amazon, and the first thing he selected was deliver by tomorrow. I'm like, we are leaving in 10 days. Why do you want deliver by tomorrow? He's like, I can't wait for 4-5 days. What is this? I need it to now. I need instant gratification. So I think there is also a trade-off on the data privacy part, Arjun, that customer, I think there is also a bit of education that as their needs and what their expectations from a brand are evolving, there is a trade-off that they need to understand in terms of the brand cannot function without that data, right? If you want that instant gratifications.
Right, and clearly not just Amazon, even the quick commerce players that we have seen that have spoilt us even more, right? But Mr. Taneja, I want to understand that customer personalization is something that is picking up. They want a personalized customer experience. Now, you obviously told me about this journey, but for businesses, when we talk about delivering a personalized customer experience, that of course is based on what of the data you have got, the analytics that you've seen, and how can businesses, given all this, strike that balance between this sort of conundrum of, in one hand, giving a personalized customer experience and at the same time protecting that valuable data of them?
See, earlier, if you see today also, the customers, this data protection was something which was not given, that kind of importance. even from the customer perspective, not from the industry side, but even from the customer perspective, they are not worried. It's so common, when you even want to buy you want to buy a pizza, right? So you will just log into the app and submit your information, your personal details. So it is that easy, and people are not really serious about what information they are giving and how that information would be actually utilized, whether it will be actually used or it will be misused. So that kind of awareness is not there now. With the new data protection, Digital Data Protection Act, which has recently enacted, there is a lot of awareness which is coming into the industry and also to the people. So they are now aware of the responsibilities or their obligations which they have to do. See, in the act, there is a responsibility to the customer also now. If customer wants to if he does not wants to give your data, for example, he can anytime refuse. He can ask you to delete data, if you have already collected it, and that kind of powers are now given to the data principal. So which were not there earlier, if you see. So now and companies have to now abide by all the privacy regulations. So it was already there in the European side. The GDPR thing was there, but now after a lot of deliberations, Indian government also has launched this act. I mean, so it's of paramount importance now that customer data is protected, it is secured, and the most important thing is that you need to take that consent from the customer if you're collecting, whether he is giving the data willingly or not.
Coming from the other side of the tables, we are an enterprise AI company, right? So we are the ones who are going to enterprises and saying, hey, give me data. My AI wants to learn from it. And every customer out there today is talking about generative AI, right? And there is a process again of education here where when you expose your data to any open source AI, what happens is your data is used to train the central AI model that is there, right? So there is your data is not sacrosanct, wherein your data is used to train that AI, then it is used for a different company in a different region and so on and so forth, right? So one of the things that we take very, very seriously, and we're hearing this from enterprises like yours, like I spoke, sir, is the fact that use my data to train only my models. Do not use my data to train your generic AI model, right? And that puts a lot of guardrails around how customer data is used. So absolutely agree with you there on that point.
Mr. Taneja, very rightly put up in your answer, given the ever-changing compliance environment around data protection, the government coming up with the regulation, not just from the perspective of Honda, I want to understand your industry at large. How are they ensuring compliance to these ever-changing regulatory environment around this? What are your views on that?
So, like I said, this was not given the importance which it should have been given earlier. But after the DPDP Act coming into place, there is a lot of awareness which industries are seeking now. So still now there is not lot of clarity which is there. The act has been there now, but still the notification has to come. So from when it will be enforced, those dates are still has to come. Then not only the dates, but if you see some things like if you have to store the data, which countries you can store it. I mean those lists has to still come out, right? So how the data will be used, there are certain things which are still not clear. So industry is now seeking expertise opinions from various bodies, right? So everybody is talking to the legal companies. We are talking to Big Four. How can we really comply with the new regulation? So we have to the first thing which we started was that we did a gap analysis. Where do we stand today with respect to the new requirements, right? And based on that gap analysis, we are now in the process of complying slowly with the all the regulations. and that will take time. And obviously the government would give I believe almost a 1 year time from the for the enforcement date, because there are a lot of penalties which are there. So when the penalties goes up to as high as 250 crores. So you need to really be vigilant. You need to comply with all the regulations. So everybody, I believe, not only Honda, everybody has started now. All companies have started working in this direction, and I think the first thing which everybody should do is do a gap analysis, do a self posture check. Where do you stand today? Because it is not that this privacy as an act it has come now, but it was always there as a part of IT Act. If you see the IT Act 2000, it talks about privacy. So we were already when we were collecting data, we were taking the consent. So now what next? So because now the consent is taken, but tomorrow if customer says that I don't want my data to be with you, you should have enough technology available to delete that data from all the sources. Because if you do all these things manually, it will take there can be errors, right? And tomorrow if he puts a complaint, you can be penalized. So you have to have a systems wherein with a single click of a button you can erase the customer information from all the systems where it is lying.
No, I agree. I think with the auto industry, I had a terrible experience over the last week. Not with Honda though, I must say that. So my car insurance was up for renewal, right? And I was not in India. I was in San Francisco the last couple of weeks. And the dealership that I bought my car from had gone ahead and shared my information to, I think, every insurance company in the planet. And I was getting calls middle of the night. Not one call, a series of calls saying your insurance is up for renewal, can we... I appreciate that you're reminding me that my insurance is up for renewal, but I also felt like, when did I ever give the consent to this dealership to share my data with all these different insurance companies, right? So I think that really is, and that really caused a very terrible experience in my mind, that when my friend was going to book a car from that same, I said, don't do it with them. You are going to get bombarded with calls, never do it. But I must also say, during the Chennai cyclone which happened, I'm from Chennai, the same company handled it beautifully, because there were so many cars that were, getting waterlogged and they had to service it. They preempted it and they said, here you go, this is the procedure that you have to do. Don't worry if your car is waterlogged. Here are the steps that you need to follow. Here is your queue, token number, so that if at all your car is waterlogged, you know exactly when it will be. While that full transparency was there from that standpoint, for me, the fact that my data was shared so freely really left a bad taste in my mind. So
you're right. But actually, although you were frustrated, and people are, because their data is getting misused, but they could do nothing actually, But now the customers are getting aware, because the law is protecting them, and then now they understand that what they can do if the data is getting misused. They can always come back to the company and ask them to delete the data or erase the data, and also ask where my data will be used and how it will be used. So people, companies were selling the data.
Right. And in fact, this is more rampant in the banking and financial services industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But going forward, Mr. Taneja, if you would like to sum up this conversation on any one or two key challenges and opportunities that you're seeing in this space, how do you see the future of things shaping around this particular topic?
So the biggest challenge, I foresee now is the data breach risk which is there, right? So because there is a lot of powers which has been given to the data principal, which is the customer. So you have to now earlier like you said, people used to get frustrated, but they could do nothing about it. But now, because they have the law has given them the powers, they can always come back and ask for a explanation, and maybe you can get penalized. So from that perspective, the data breach which might happen, because now it would be called as a breach. The data, if it's moving outside somewhere, it's like a data breach, because the consent which you have taken from the customer is for a particular use, and if it is going beyond that, it is considered as a breach, right? So those risks are there, and that is the companies have to now abide by how do they have those systems in place, how the security practices have to be realigned, right? So because the data is huge, and even the companies don't know where the data is lying, because they collect the data and then there are so many systems which are interfaced, interlinked to each other. The companies themselves are not aware, right? And if there is a breach which happens, it puts a big question mark. What we have done is, in our company also, as simple as the customer data which is lying in the PCs of the sales and marketing people, we are putting AIP software wherein it is that the data gets encrypted. It is there, but it is encrypted in encrypted form, right? So tomorrow, even if there is a data breach or happening, you will not be able to access that information.
True. Harshini, what are you seeing on this front?
No, there's a very interesting use case. This didn't happen now. It's happened a few years ago in my previous company, as we were in the customer experience space, right? And there's a bank in Singapore, and what we had seen was they were very, very keen on abiding by PDPA laws. But when you ask for customer feedback, sometimes what customers would do in the open-ended question text box, they would type, "My name is this, my account number is this is the problem." So this was about 6 years ago. Back then, we had to build an algorithm which identified certain syntaxes, like if it's 9 digits, then it's probably a phone number, and so on and so forth, and redact all of those info before it goes in. But at the same time, we used to work with banks in India, and they have no concern about any of this, right? But what we are seeing now is there is a lot more vigilance from Indian enterprises. Even Indian enterprises are asking us, are you SOC 2 compliant? Are you GDPR compliant? Even though we are not, we don't have to abide by GDPR. Because it has now become a question of trust. Like Ms. Taneja said, the customers are a lot more educated around the fact that, they hold the power when it comes to their data. Even your iPhone asks you, right? Can I share our app not to track? Every time you install an app, you get this. So there is a lot more education we're seeing, which means enterprises want to err on the side of caution. They would rather give you as little access to customer data as possible. So that's a trend that we're seeing big time, Arjun.
Mr. Taneja, would you like to add a concluding line to what just Harshini mentioned?
So, the customers, now, like I said, they are much more aware now. Earlier, like you gave example of, this mobile app. Whenever you install any app, they ask for so many consents, right? And unknowingly, people just give the consent. They don't read.
Because they want to quickly access.
Right?
Exactly.
So they don't read. But then now going forward, you have done your job as an organization. You have collected that consent.
Checkbox, yeah.
But the customer who has done it, he has unknowingly given that consent.
Yes.
And tomorrow you are safe. So from customer perspective, if I see, they have to be given a lot of much more awareness that, is not just clicking on that box. It is that you are given consent to use your information in a particular way. So I think that is something where a lot of awareness still has to, go to the customers. And now after this, I'm sure, everybody is getting aware, more and more aware. So things definitely will change.
So that was Mr. Rajiv Taneja of Honda Motorcycle and Scooters India talking about the various aspects of data privacy, trust around customer experience, what the future of customer experience around these aspects look like, and of course, the ever-changing regulatory environment around this. Thank you so much, Mr. Taneja, for your time, and Harshini as well for moderating this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.